you so much for being here. Hey, for our audience, can you just give them kind of a brief overview and who you are and kind of what you're doing right now, especially as it relates to leadership or leadership development?
Sure. Well, Ralph, you and I go back quite a ways and have always intersected in the marketplace in Charlotte. It was either through the Charlotte business, the Charlotte, oh, what's it called? Oh, sorry, Ralph.
The Barnabas
The
Group?
Charlotte Christian Chamber, the
Oh,
Charlotte
yes.
Christian Chamber of Commerce. And then, yes, the Barnabas Group, and you are a tremendous asset and partner with the Barnabas Group, just bringing the best out of our guests through video and recording and connecting. You're such an incredible connector. So as I met you in those spaces, you saw me go from being the Barnabas Group leader to really transitioning full time as the national director for the master's program for women, which is what I do right now. I help raise up coaches across the US and Canada and India so that they can raise up cohorts and unleash other leaders, high impact women in the marketplace or in ministry leadership or nonprofit leadership. And it's such a pleasure. It's an exciting time.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you're right. Wow. When I think about the history with the Christian Chamber and the Barnabas Group, and obviously the master's program. And as you know, I'm a graduate of the master's program. You guys wouldn't let me in the master's program for women, so I had to take the other one. But but that's okay. I still graduated it. And for those that have never heard of it, I would highly recommend it, man or woman. The master's program is a very powerful leadership program. And to be honest with you, it really dictated the direction of my business. Been 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago now, in a real powerful way. So it's the real deal. So I appreciate what you're doing with those ladies, and I appreciate what the program is doing for them. And what we're talking about today is just that. It's leadership development. And man, when I think about where you have come from to where you are today and the different things that you have done, I mean, it's just so exciting and so impactful. And I just wanted to talk briefly with you about leadership. And, one of the things I love to ask people in your position is, when you think of leaders or you think of leadership, what are some of the values that you think of as it relates to leadership?
Wow. I mean, there's so many, but I think what I identify the most with is, the visionary aspect of leadership, being futuristic, being able to see ahead and being postured and prepared to go there and just influence others to come along, being a model of authenticity, being courageous, being vulnerable, exhibiting humility, but really through it all, just having a heart to unleash others into their areas of destiny and purpose and in their own leadership along the way.
Wow. That's got to be one of the best definitions I've ever heard of for leadership values, because you said two things that rang true. You said a lot of things, but two things that really rang true to me, and that is the leader who has vision to see it before other people, but then the influence to bring the people there. I think I see a lot of leaders who have the vision but no influence, and then some influence but no vision. But to have both of those is just so very powerful. One of the things you said also is vulnerability, and one of the things I love about leaders who are vulnerable is they can talk about the things that they've done that just didn't work, that just weren't good. And, and some people call that a failure. Some people call that a learning. I think everybody understands that, if you're going to be a leader, you're going to fail from time to time, but you're going to learn from it too. In your mind, how do leaders, fail or learn? And then also maybe how do they succeed?
Well, I think the leadership journey it's inevitable that you're going to have failures. It's inevitable that you're going to come across areas in your own leadership that are you're blinded to certain things that you're familiar with in your own capacity or personality. And there's nothing like crisis or the pressures of leadership to expose those areas. And so I think what's healthy is that when you are in those situations, that you become very real to face those things head on And that's where vulnerability and humility really comes into play, to realize that we're all growing, that we're all in process, and that to be, teachable, to be a lifelong learner in those times and find out where the deficits are. So as I am such a strong advocate of, transformational leadership, which I believe is centered in Christ, really to get back to that place of just, God, search my heart. What happened? How did I get to this place? How did I offend so many people? Or how did I drop the ball? How do I, if it's a functional operational thing within a company versus the health of working with people and the soft side of running an organization, we're not perfect. And so being able to really build the team around you to offset some of your own weaknesses or inabilities, I think that's key to being successful, is just making sure that you're being very circumspectful about the leadership team around you, that you are unleashing leaders around you also, so that you're going together as a team to that destination, the vision that God has given you, or, the vision that God has for that organization or for that company.
Yeah, no, that's so powerful. And as you were talking about that, one of the things that came to me is encouragement and inspiration. I talk to many leaders, and, a lot of times, sadly, they don't get a lot of encouragement. It's not that they're looking for it, and it's not that they need a pat on the back, but we all need a little bit of encouragement. But my question for you is around inspiration, and what are the things or people that inspire you? Like, what keeps you going? What drives you, and what inspires you?
Okay, well, first of all, I think that there is no greater model or example of leadership than Jesus. And even if you denied him his deity and you just studied his humanity, the leadership principles that he exhibited, how he mentored, 12 unlikely individuals, it's just amazing. And so it's worth a lot of study, regardless of somebody's faith background.
Sure.
But I would say physically, the mentors and the people in front of me now, I would have to say it boils down to two incredible men. And one of them is Bob Shank, of course, who is the founder of the Master's Program. And the other one is Glenn Burris, who I had the privilege of working with closely. He is the former president of Foursquare International, so he was a denominational leader. But before that, I worked with him in an executive role regionally, and just watched closely how he was a model of authenticity in his own leadership, with so many moving parts. And to see both Bob and Glenn really be strong leaders in their own homes, first in their marriage and how they raised their children, and then with the people around them, how they stewarded their influence with others and really unleashed others around them.
Wow.
So I learned a lot from them, and I continue to learn from Bob, of course, because I served with him on the board for Priority Living, and he's still leading the Master's Program. So to me, those are some of the strongest mentors in my life. And also Sandy Olson, who passed me the baton. So she led the Master's Program for Women because Bob unleashed her. And it was a founder-led movement under Sandy. And then she just discerned the season and handed me the baton, and still speaks into my life. So I would say those three especially.
Yeah, well, I have to tell you, I don't know the latter two, Sandy and Glenn. I would love to meet them, but I totally concur with you on Bob. He's a really remarkable person, and in the very, very few times I've gotten a chance to interact with him personally, I've always benefited from it, and obviously I have always prayed that I've added value into his life as well. Well, listen, we are out of time, but thank you so much for taking the time to do this. So blessed to have you here, and so grateful to see what you're doing in leadership. Can't wait to see what your next season is. And until then, I wish you the very best.
Thank you so much, Ralph.